Welcome back to the channel. Today, if all goes to plan, I'm just going to try lowering the rear suspension probably about a centimetre. Not very much. I know there's very little adjustment left in the actual springs, so I'm going to see if I can just tweak the shock a little bit and see. So anyway, let's put the car onto some chocks. So here we are underneath the car, and you can see, if it focuses, that's roughly how much is left, which is about, I don't know, a centimetre, something like that, because obviously you adjust the rings at the top and then move them further up. That allows the car to sit slightly lower. I was going to measure the spring, because on the actual spring you've got the size of the spring written, but what I may do is take the wheel off and then just have a look to see how slack it is in the hole. There we go. I've taken the wheel off on one side, jacked the car up. The plan is, now I know they do it differently by accessing the top plates there, but I may undo this lock ring, literally move it 1 centimetre up and then screw it down 1 centimetre. Now I know you're meant to do your unbolt the bottom of this part and then adjust it on the actual arm, but I've not got much play in there. I mean, I could put that to maximum low and see, and then literally just take half a centimetre out of here, and I know everybody's going to say, oh, undo that bit down here and drop it on there, but let's see what it does. Right, so I've managed to undo this locking ring. So the plan is to raise this up a centimetre on the thread and then rotate this bit down, which will lift this bit up. That's the theory anyway. So let's do some measurements, and I think that'll be roughly about where I want it to be. Well, welcome back. This is about a week later from when I originally started to film the content, and the reason being is I've not been too well. So, as you would have seen, I tried to adjust the tops of the springs and couldn't do it, so today I'm just going to try and cheat and compress the springs whilst in situ. If not, I'll have a look at undoing the bolt on the bottom of the suspension strut and see. So rather than film it, I'm just going to get the car up in the air, take the back wheels off and go from there. There we go. I've taken the wheels off both sides. It just provides easier access, as I say, to that top collar. I'll show you the other side. Here we go. Right, so I've loosened the top collar, and now I'm just going to see if I can cheat by compressing the spring a little bit and then winding up the second collar. If I point to it, that bit there, and I've got my spanner ready and soft hammer. Not had much luck in undoing this one or that one under there. Yeah, let's give it a go. Still under the car, and what I've done is, because I can't seem to separate this and this, I've twisted the shock body and raised it up that much on the bottom part of there just by rotating it like so, and that's effectively pushing the rear control arm wishbone further down, which, bits of dirt everywhere. I mean, it's making the spring a bit more looser in the spring cup. So I've actually finally managed to turn this little one a bit, literally by just putting a bit of a bodge, but putting a little bit of compression on the spring and then adjusting the top. That way I'm allowed to just rotate it. So at least it will allow me to lower it probably another centimetre or so. And then in theory, I know people do the preload with the actual shock detached, but I can't get this bottom nut undone under here. I really need to be on a ramp to do it, but if I can set the right height, I'll be happy, and remove the rake that was on the car. So yeah, I'm basically compressing this spring a little bit, turning the collar, and it's making the preload looser by effectively lowering the lower arm. And then once it's in, I mean, this just basically has to be pinch tight, and then I can measure this part here to the bottom mount to get the preload correct on both of the same sides. Here we go. This took a lot of encouragement, but that's as far up as I can adjust it. So that will be maximum low on the spring. The spring is still pretty tight in the housing, which shows how far out the preload is, and that's having wound the shock. If I can show it, that much there, that's how much I've taken out, which is a good couple of centimetres. And yeah, but this desperately all needs a clean. It's not bad under here, it's just typical Focus muddy. This is all just mud. Yep, it's got on my airwalks. Yeah, so I'm going to go around the other side. I ended up using a tyre lever initially just to loosen it enough by putting it in the bottom and then obviously compressing the spring. It's taken a bit of time and a bit of brute force, but now I know it's on maximum load, I can then put it all back together, measure this as I said before, tighten it up so it's balanced to the left and right. Yeah, and then set about doing the preload when I can get it in the air. Part of the issue is I'm on a drive with a stone. I put axle stands under it, but they started to move, so I've got an axle stand and a jack. But I've achieved what I wanted to do, so let's go around to the other side. And at the end of the day, it'll probably only lower the car about that much. Welcome back, day 3. Yes, I've been working all week, so I've been unable to finish off this side. But what I have done is bought some of these, so I can just compress the spring a little bit, because the top part of this adjuster just keeps rotating with the spring. So I'm going to see if I can quickly separate the spring from the clamp. Rotate it. It's got about 5 mils to come out, but then I know it's at the maximum low setting it can be on. So let's get to it, even though it's only about 3 degrees this morning. Right, let's show you where I'm at. Wheels off, and I've had a little bit of success, and yeah, it's a dumb way to die, but I've actually managed to adjust it completely by clamping the spring and adjust it. So I've now just got to push it back over in the housing. Bit of a wobble cam. But yeah, what was actually happening was this bottom collar would not turn, not because of the compression of the spring, although that wasn't helping. Even with it this slack, I could hardly turn the bloody thing. It was so tight, unbelievably tight. The thread was clean, so I'm assuming it's just because of the paint on the actual collar part itself. But anyway, yeah, so all I've got to do now is undo these dodgy clamps, but they are a godsend, and only like 10 quid off eBay. But I'm going to invest in a impact gun just in case, because at some point I want to get all the bottom of this off and give it a bit of a blast, or I'll just order on new ones when I can afford it and get it done. So anyway, now that's done, that's fully up, I'm going to loosen off the clamps, which will expand the spring. I'm going to try and push this piece so it's a little bit more central on the actual mount, as it sits on a rubber collar up in the top of there, and then it should be go to put the wheel back on and put the car back down. Almost done. I've literally done everything I set out to do. That's as low as it will go. The spring is back in its mount. Yeah, so I've got the dirty wheel to put back on, put the wheel nuts back on, and then that should be set to go, and that will be at its lowest setting. Now the other side I did the other day, and obviously working and other stuff, I'd lowered this side as much as it would go, and it's not massively low, but obviously a lot of people on the Focuses run the additional skirts and stuff to give the impression that it's low. But I'm going to put it back down, see what it looks like, drive it around the block, make sure the wheels don't fall off, and then take it from there. Yeah, but hopefully it will give it that little bit more of a level stance. I could perhaps take a few mils out of the front, but look at how dirty it is. Anyway, let's get the wheel on. There we go. The car's running because environment. This was the side, you can see your breath, I did the other day. That's as low as that will go on the rear now, on the BC Racing coilovers. That's it. And the other side, it's a good YouTube channel, isn't it? Yeah, it looks fractionally higher, but I've literally driven half a mile, so I suspect in about a week, maybe not actually, no, it's quite low. I will do the measurement, but yeah, I think that looks a lot better. It's made the ride a lot better anyway, although something's rattling in the back, which is rather annoying. But so be it. Anyway, yeah, who would have thought it was taken so long to adjust that? But obviously when I get the opportunity, I shall get it up on a ramp and get it all set up properly. But for the time being, at least it's fitted correctly, which is something good, isn't it? Anyway, if you've enjoyed watching these videos, don't forget, I try to release one every other week, every few weeks, as and when it happens. I've got my first engine mod coming up in the next video, £12 part, so let's see how that goes. But in the meantime, do all the usual stuff, click and like, etc. Okay, thanks for watching.